So in this lesson, we'll be discussing locating the right short-term rental. This is also another very important section, especially if you're going to start with the arbitrage rental approach. Again, you don't need to buy immediately. You can always rent first, then buy later. I'm a big advocate of owning the real estate because there's so many other ways you can monetize that asset. But in the beginning, this is not necessary. You can simply arbitrage and make money by renting to rent. So there are some key things that you need to take in consideration when approaching real estate in this way. So these are my recommendations. I think you should first start by starting close to home. Now, don't get me wrong. Can you do this business anywhere in the US? Absolutely. Can you do this business anywhere in the world? Absolutely. But starting close to home allows you to get your feet wet so that you can actually get a really good handle on what it takes to operate this business, the ins and outs, all of the little quirks and the little technical things that you may not be aware of initially. It allows you just to really build momentum and create a system and a process and start strong. So I recommend that you start in your own backyard, that you don't try to do anything in another state, another city. Figure it out first and foremost where you are. Make that first one work and expand from there. Again, if I lined up 5 or 6 people right now, each one of them would tell you will probably have a different business model in place in terms of how they operate. I'm only telling you from my experience that I think it's best that you start first and foremost in your own backyard. Again, you don't need to buy, you can arbitrage. I also recommend you start there because it's the cheapest and fastest way to get in the game with very little skin in the game, and allows you to actually start learning as you go, but also being able to immediately monetize the platform or the business model. You also want to reach out and contact realtors, complex condo, rental offices, REITs, etc. These are the people who will bring you the leads. So I recommend contacting listing agents because you have to understand that these people make money when you make money. So if they send you a listing for various apartment units and you end up signing a lease, they get paid off of that as well. So it's a win-win. It's in their best interest to send you great leads so that you can monetize the situation and also allow them to make a profit on their property as well. So I recommend you quickly build your list up of active realtors in your market, reach out to them, maybe even take some out to lunch, sit them down, explain to them what your business model is and what you're doing, and then send them out to bring you leads. If they win, you win. You also want to make sure that before you purchase a unit that you confirm the logistics. I'm talking about things like property access, like parking. What you don't want to do is secure a unit, list it, and then there's a big mess in terms of how your clients are being able to effectively gain access to parking and to entering and exiting the premises. So you don't want anything that, say for example, you don't want any property or in a unit where there's a key card access, because they'll only issue you 1 or 2 of those key cards. And if you're not able to effectively continue to get that to the next occupant, then you're going to run into a huge problem. So you want buildings that have multiple access entries that are keypad entries, so that you can just give the code to the occupant and they can get in and out really easily. Again, with a key card, you run the risk of, even if you figured out a way to get it from client to client, you now run into a situation where it may get lost. And so you're having to constantly go back and get it replaced and pay extra fees, etc. So again, property access is really important. So you want to pay attention to that. Parking also. If you have to have parking passes or can only park in certain areas, you want to make sure it's sufficient for your clients to be able to get in and out with minimum difficulty and inconvenience. Also, so that their vehicle doesn't get towed if they're parking in the wrong places. So confirm all of the logistics to make sure that it's suitable for a short-term rental Airbnb type of business model. You also want to confirm the maintenance process. Do they, do you have to place a maintenance order in? How quickly do they come out and respond? I personally keep a maintenance person on retainer. And so if anything, if it's any kind of minor issue that needs to be fixed quickly, I prefer to actually send my own maintenance person out on the job to get it done and be done with it. But you want to confirm that. So you want to just have yours as a backup as well. But make sure you confirm the maintenance process. That's important because things break, things go down, and you want to make sure that those things can be fixed in a very timely fashion. You also want to find properties close to city attractions. Most people, when they travel, they're coming to travel for those reasons, unless they're traveling for business. Most of the time they want to be right near major city attractions. So preferably you want it walking distance, but definitely no more than 30 minutes from any major attraction in the area, or what you believe that they may be coming to see if it's a seasonal kind of event and things going on in your city. You also want to make sure that they have access to transportation, to public transportation. So there's a lot of ways that they can get to and fro with minimum inconvenience. Lastly on my list of my recommendations for finding the perfect short-term rental is stay away from certain communities, like retirement communities, places where they don't like a lot of noise and they'll really raise a fuss if there's a lot of foot traffic or a lot of activity on their street or in their neighborhood. So you want to be mindful of what's around the unit that you're trying to acquire before you actually proceed and acquire the property. You also need to know who your rental avatar is, and we'll dive more into that in the next lesson. But keep that in mind and keep that at the front of your thoughts, because that will lead and guide almost all of your decisions once you actually determine who it is that you're trying to attract to stay in your short-term rental. See you on the next lesson.